I looked seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it at Iowa. You see these teams.
Christine Brennan just dropped the most devastating expose in women's sports history, and the tremors are still shaking the league's foundation.
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge. And to then see this negativity, like why?
This wasn't some random blogger throwing accusations around. This was USA Today's most respected voice, systematically dismantling the WNBA's catastrophic mishandling of their golden goose moment. Her revelations don't just expose incompetence, they reveal a pattern of jealousy, sabotage, and willful blindness that turned the league's greatest opportunity into its most embarrassing failure.
What she had to say in this book was going to shake the ground of the WNBA. She's been around for a very long time, and she knows the inner and outer workings of this league. Christine Brennan let it be known in multiple interviews that the WNBA was not ready for a superstar like Caitlin.
The uncomfortable truth she uncovered will change how you see everything that happened to Caitlin Clark. Brennan didn't come to hand out participation trophies. She came with a machete, ready to hack through the PR spin and expose exactly how tone-deaf and insecure the WNBA's leadership became when the most marketable player in women's sports history walked right into their lap.
It's one of the big points in the book. I deal with all of this and my research and reporting, because I was perplexed as well. I mean, this is the greatest moment ever for the WNBA. Yep. We wish it happened sooner. Of course we wish it happened sooner. There were amazing players who, as you know, both you guys know, were toiling in obscurity, the male-dominated mainstream sports media ignoring them.
What she found was worse than anyone imagined. Here's one of Brennan's most jaw-dropping discoveries that reveals everything you need to know about the league's mindset. The day after Caitlin Clark declared for the 2024 draft, Brennan called a senior WNBA executive to get their reaction. You'd think there would be fireworks, champagne popping, at least a "we just hit the lottery" moment of excitement. Instead, this executive compared Clark to Maya Moore. And while Maya Moore is an all-time WNBA great, the brutal reality is this. Outside of hardcore basketball circles, she never had anywhere near the mainstream recognition or cultural pull that Clark already possessed before even stepping on a professional court.
And in the case of Jordan, the other players and the league around them, in Tiger's case, the PGA Tour, realized that a rising tide raises all boats and were incredibly supportive of Tiger and Jordan. With Caitlin, it seems like, for whatever reason, she's polarizing. Like, she's been hit with more flagrant fouls than any player ever this year. They tried to come at you when you were writing a story and said, don't ask questions about why people don't like Caitlin Clark. But I'm going to ask you, Christine, why is she polarizing, in your opinion? Why do people not embrace the phenomenon that is Caitlin Clark?
That comparison told Brennan everything she needed to know. The league's leadership genuinely didn't understand what they had in their hands. They couldn't recognize that Caitlin Clark wasn't just another talented rookie. She was a cultural avalanche waiting to happen, ready to tear down every tired narrative about the WNBA being irrelevant or unwatchable.
The WNBA does not need that, because for a lot of America, Caitlin Clark is the hero. And anyone that comes to Caitlin Clark's defense is a hero. And everyone that flagrantly fouls her, speaks poorly of her, acts like she's not great, is the villain, and then vice versa on that. How big of a part of the story is that when you look at the conflict surrounding Caitlin Clark?
But Brennan's most explosive revelation exposes the real poison that infected the league: the jealousy. Her investigation reveals an undercurrent of bitter resentment that ran from the commissioner's office to veteran players to certain legacy media figures.
And here comes Caitlin Clark, and let's say it, and I say it in the book, I go into this in depth, a white woman from Iowa in a 74% black league. That's an issue. The book is the first real journalistic look at this entire season and at Caitlin Clark and what she's done and all these issues that are out there.
Instead of seeing her success as a rising tide lifting all boats, they saw it as a personal threat to their relevance. That jealousy played out in the ugliest ways possible. Players started taking extra physical shots at Clark during games. Officials suddenly developed selective blindness when obvious fouls occurred. The hypocrisy was staggering.
Caitlin Clark is way more important to the WNBA than Tiger Woods was to men's golf, even though he was huge to men's golf. And to then see this negativity, the next question would be, or your viewers and listeners are probably say, okay, so like why? And what should have been done? And I look seriously at the leadership of the WNBA. And how could you not be prepared for this moment? You've seen it happening in the Big Ten. You've seen it in Iowa. You see these TV ratings. 4 million more, as I said, watching the women than the men. I think it's worth repeating a few times because it is such a stunning statistic, guys.
Here was a league that had spent decades begging for mainstream attention. And when it finally arrived wearing an Iowa jersey and a ponytail, they treated it like an inconvenience they couldn't wait to get rid of. Brennan also uncovered a disturbing cultural sickness inside the WNBA, a warped mentality that mainstream popularity somehow corrupts the purity of the game. This backwards thinking led to actively sabotaging their own golden opportunity. The missed opportunities were breathtaking in their stupidity. The merchandise rollout was an amateur hour embarrassment. Game scheduling looked like times were pulled from a bingo cage. The marketing strategy felt like it was designed by people better suited to running a middle school car wash than a professional sports league. And where was Commissioner Kathy Engelbert during this organizational meltdown? Her primary job is protecting the league's most valuable assets. But Brennan's investigation suggests she was either completely oblivious to the dysfunction or complicit in allowing it to fester. Neither explanation inspires confidence in the league's leadership. The cost of this petty jealousy wasn't just emotional, it was financial. Bigger crowds, higher TV ratings, booming merchandise sales, all of that translates to more revenue for everyone. Higher player salaries, better facilities, and increased investment in the league's future. But too many insiders saw Clark's success as a threat to their personal legacy, rather than the payday it represented for everyone. Brennan's reporting reveals multiple clear turning points where the league could have shifted course and capitalized on the Clark phenomenon. They could have taken a public stand against the targeting. They could have launched bold marketing campaigns showcasing Clark alongside her top rivals, turning competition into cash flow. Instead, they let the resentment fester and watched their historic opportunity rot from the inside out. The bottom line is devastating. Christine Brennan's investigation doesn't just tell Caitlin Clark's story, it exposes the WNBA's all-time greatest fumble. Thanks to Brennan's fearless reporting, there's no sweeping this dysfunction under the rug anymore. The receipts are documented, the patterns are clear, and the cost of this organizational failure will be felt for years to come. Is this train wreck fueled purely by jealousy of Clark, or is it next-level incompetence? Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.